Hi guys, Eva here, and today I have my May 2018 wrap up. And yeah, I am kind of really tired. My finals are in a week, so hopefully after that I will be able to put more videos up my channel. Also, I am trying to film in another position to take advantage of the natural light outside, so we'll see how it goes. Before I start, I'll give you some statistics. So this month it wasn't so bad actually. I read a total of 8 things. 7 were books, 1 was a graphic novel. Of the 7 books, 1 was an audiobook. But yeah. And the total amount of pages that I read, just considering the books and not the audiobook, so just the 6 books, were 2,208 pages. As far as the genre goes, 1 was fantasy, 2 were urban fantasy, 2 were crime/thrillers, 2 were literary fiction, and 1 was magic realism. Yeah, I would consider that. And as far as the rating goes, 1 book was 3 stars, 2 books were 3.5 stars, 3 books were 4.75 stars, and 2 books were 4 stars. Okay, I've tried standing up. It's more comfortable for me. My foot is really in a precarious position. So let's cross our fingers. Anyway, the first thing I've read this month was The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman, and this is the first one in a series. I categorize it as an urban fantasy, but it takes place in England in a historical setting, especially in the Regency era. And it's about Lady Helen. Lady Helen is about to enter society. Her only concern so far has been like dress properly and behave as society said, and then one day she finds out that she has kind of abilities that put her in a special place when it comes down to actually fight the deceivers. Now, I don't want to say anything else, I don't want to spoil it. This was a miss for me. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, I don't know. It was kind of boring. Not bad, boring. Like nothing happens for a lot of this book, and it's kind of a chunky book. It picks up toward the end. I give some thoughts about it, and I think I'm dropping this. I'm gonna probably sell my copy. It's just written in a style that kind of bores me. I do like some of the characters, especially Lord Carston, so the characters are well done. And the other thing that I found kind of silly is the explanation behind the deceivers. Now, I won't give anything away because I think it's kind of a hit and miss. So maybe when you found out who they are and what are their powers and so on, maybe you'll be, oh wow, this is awesome. Me, it was, oh, this is kind of dumb. Actually, what I really thought was dumb was the way they fight them. It's just, yeah, it's just not for me. I gave this 3.5 stars. I didn't hate it. It was okay. But yeah, but not enough to convince me to buy the rest of the series and invest my money in it. If I want, I can find them in my library. Then I finally finished, after probably 2 years, I'm not kidding, not 2 years, but a year and a half, A Little Life by Yaga something. I read this on audiobook. Now, I realize that audiobooks are really not my thing. I get easily distracted because I listen to them while I do other things. It took me a long while to read this book. Maybe it was also the fact that this book is, oh, it's heavy. Now, if I take it lightly, I could just say, yeah, if you are kind of sad, don't read this book because it will make you want to actually to slit your wrists. So yeah, it's so sad and depressing, and I think on a more serious note that they should put some warnings on a book like this, because if somebody is going through depression or some mental issue or is really low as far as their mood goes, this book can actually trigger some really bad behavior like self-harming, suicide and so on. So I think this book is not for everybody, and they should put a warning, because not everybody should read this book because it doesn't give a positive message at the end of the day. So I didn't do a review, maybe I will, I don't know. I'm a bit struggling with this book because on one side I found it heavily depressing, to the point that I was getting angry at how much miserable these characters could get. I mean, life is hard for everybody, but it was just like the author was just, putting her fingers in the open wound. It was just never ending suffering, and especially Jude, the character of Jude, it was just so many things, horrible things happened to him, and nothing really good happened, like nothing that turned out well. And the final message was not, there is a silver lining. It was just like, if you're depressed, you're gonna end up like this, because at the end of the day everything will crumble to ruin. So on that note, I was almost angry, because I was like, you're just trying to make me miserable. You're just telling me a story to make me depressed and to make me feel sad. On the other side, when it comes down to human emotion and how she described them, how these characters were layered and the struggle they went through and their stream of consciousness, it was amazingly done. It was so realistic. I mean, there are people out there that have tough life, their thoughts and so on are, I think, well represented to a certain point, meaning that the pain and the emotion that humans can go through were really well portrayed according to the situation they were at that point in the books, of course. As human nature was described, I think it was really well done. So I ended up giving this book 4 stars, because I have to recognize, as a person that kind of study human minds, that she went, or he went, I don't know if it's a guy or girl, but she went all the way there. She put into words emotions that are really not seldom put into books, because they're so difficult to explain. I don't want to spoil the book, but so I will keep my fingers crossed until I'm done. But so at the end of the book, Jude actually commits suicide, and the chapter leading to that, his signs are clearly saying, I am gonna do it. So if someone is a little bit aware of what sign to look for, it was clearly gonna happen, and the people around him didn't understand, or maybe they did. Also, I appreciated the fact that, for years and decades these people try to make him stay alive, but at the end of the day you cannot save someone that is so determined to end up their life. So now I don't want to start another argument, but it is kind of true, and it's not always so, but in many situations, not in all situations, but in many situations, he also says, if he hates life so much, should we keep him alive just for our selfish reasons? What can we do when someone is so determined? And so it's, just let's leave it at that. But let me know maybe in the comments down below if you would. But it is a complex thing, and I think he achieved to actually make us think about suicide and life and pain, and how we stand when someone we love is going through that. Is it fair? Is it not? Should we fight? Or to what point should we fight? So it was just really well done on that side. Said that, it made me miserable, and I couldn't give it more than 4 stars. I was in a really bad mood after listening to this, but at the end of the day it was not an enjoyable read. It was just true, which I read books to escape reality, and that felt really, really too much true. A long time to explain the book, but I think it deserved it. Then I read the novella Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, and this is A Court of Thorny Roses 3.5. It's just a huge novella. It was fine. I gave it 4 stars. I'm not a huge fan of Feyre. I mean, I was not in this one. I did like her previously. It's just she's not the best character either. But I love the series. I absolutely love the series for all the characters, and Nesta and Cassian, I'm here. I'm waiting. And I've read Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami, and this was my first Murakami book. I always wanted to read one book by him, and I finally did. I found this in my library, picked it up. I have to say, first thing, the writing was really good. And when I say good, I mean I don't care what you're writing about, just keep writing. That's what I mean when it was good. story of this guy that goes through his university years after his best friend committed suicide, and he is in love with his best friend's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend at this point. Now, as far as the story goes, I kind of lost interest pretty quick. On with again for possibly spoilers, but everybody commits suicide, especially when Naoko does. It's like the signs are all there, and she's in a mental health facility, which should have noticed these signs. Dory, I did not like at all. The main character was okay. It just was not interesting. Just overall, it was okay. I think you have to like the genre. If you like the genre, he is great, and probably you love the story. Then I've read The Couple Next Door by Shari LaPena, and this is a thriller. Basically, this couple goes to have a party next door, and they decide to leave their 6-month-old daughter in her room and just take the baby monitor with them because the neighbor doesn't want the crying baby around. So they decide to do that. Of course, when they come back home at the end of the night, the baby is gone. Now, I read this really quickly. I read this in 24 hours, maybe, which I don't do usually. So I guess this thriller does what it should do. And said that the plot itself, now that I think about it, some points were a little bit silly. Some things were obvious. The cast of characters is really restricted, so it's him or the other one. It's not like you have much choice. The things I did not see coming though, and at the end of the day, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's the mind-blowing thriller of the year. 3.5 stars. The only graphic novel I read this month was Wayward, String Theory, and this is by Zub, coming out for Villon and Dillon, and actually some of the art. And this is an urban fantasy about this girl that moved to Japan back with her mom, and she finds out that she has some kind of powers to defeat this kind of demons. It's not clear. I did enjoy the art. I did enjoy the story. It was fascinating, although it was a little bit rushed. So we'll pick up the next volumes because it is my genre and I enjoyed enough. But we definitely need more explanation, and it needs to take more its time to get us more immersed in the story. I've read The Bat by Jo Nesbo, and this is a thriller. It's the first one in the Harry Hole series, and this takes place in Australia. Harry, he's Norwegian, but a Norwegian girl gets murdered in Australia, so he goes there to help the police figure out as a help, basically. And I did like this thriller. I did like, not for the thriller part itself, which was okay, but nothing special. Like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. Like, no, not like that. It was just, yeah, it was okay. But Henry Hole, he is a really great character, and he is the reason why I enjoyed this book as much as I did. So we already established that I kind of like really complex, more than complex, probably grey, kind of like shitty characters. But the point is that throughout this book, Harry makes a lot of comments about people, about race, about like sex and gender. And honestly, I don't share any of his comments that he makes, or like a majority of them I don't actually share. It was also written in 1999, I think, or something like that. So let's take that in consideration, where probably he got away with it. Maybe nowadays publishers would be more careful about that. So although I do not share those comments and those thoughts with him, I still felt there were something that made him more real. We all have our biases. Some of them are conscious, some of them are unconscious. The author was not trying to make him the perfect human being. He made him extremely real, and someone we can agree with, and sometimes with someone we don't agree with, someone who felt like somebody we could know. Maybe it was just a coincidence, maybe all his comments and the way he was just the reflection of what actually the author thinks. In that case, he is a shitty human being probably, but he is a good author, and I appreciated this book for what it was. I will continue on the series. I can find them really easily in my library. And then the last book I read was All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. Stop butchering the name. And this was a magic realism book, and it was about the Surya family. They live in Colorado in 1961, something like that, and they live basically in the desert. And the younger generation of the Suryas, they put on an illegal radio show. And the way it works, the city is that the Suryas can do miracles for these pilgrims that come to the city. But the point is that when the pilgrim have to make the second miracle, they have to cure themselves in the end, because the Suryas cannot interfere with them, otherwise their darkness, which changes according to the person, will also come out, and it will be worse than the darkness of the pilgrims. Now it sounds weird, because it is weird, and this is also a book that is not usually my genre. Magic realism is not something I've read much, so because I felt I was really not my cup of tea, and it isn't as far as I've read. I did enjoy this book enough, and I think the reason is the way it's written. Maggie can do no wrong when it comes down to words, and although many of it, like her plots, are something that are really not interesting for me, I keep reading her books just because I think she can just write wonderfully. She just writes such beautiful words and such beautiful descriptions, and it all feels like a fable, like you're reading a fable. So I did enjoy this. I gave this 3.75 stars. It was not my genre. It's not like a plot, it was nothing like really special, but it kind of like got in my heart anyway for the way it was written. And that was it for this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Just enjoy life and reading, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!